Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Isle of the Damned. I am your storyteller, Mark, aka the CatsMeow, and this is my lovely, lovely crew. This is our story set on the Isle of Man about a group of vampires trying their hardest to survive and navigate the eternal politics of the undead. Let's go through and meet them. And today we are going to start off with our newest companion in our journey. Drew, why don't you introduce us to Snorri?
Good evening, everybody. I am Drew, and I play Snorri Freyson, the new to you all, but very old to the island of Man, uh, crypt keeper of sorts.
I have to do the laugh.
Right. Up next, Blue, give us the introduction of your character.
Hello, everybody. I am Blue, and today I will be playing Gwyneth, Prince of Peel, your little Zamitzi stepdad. He's not that little. He's normal size. It's not a
Good old
size
Zamitzi.
contest, you guys. It's fine.
Size
It's
doesn't
not
matter.
about size.
Size matters not to young Skywalker.
Especially not to a Zamis.
That's true.
Hmm.
Be whatever size you want to be. Thomas, why don't you give us your introduction?
Hello, my name is Thomas, and I will be playing the Sheriff Randolph of Clan Gangrel.
Very nice. And last, but certainly not least, Mars. Give us your intro.
Hello, I am Mars, and I am playing Maud the Valkyrie, and she's of the Aramanes bloodline.
Very nice. And unfortunately, we would have our mopey keeper sister Iris, our dear Lasombra. But unfortunately, Rebecca is traveling at the moment. But if you're in the chat at the moment, you can say hi to Rebecca. And because I think they feel bad enough that they've had to miss this session.
I'm sure.
Hi,
Especially after the
Rebecca.
story
I love
block
you.
from Loki.
Sleep well.
The chat
Oh.
deleted my message.
Oh, the bastard.
Yeah, I gotta fix it so it doesn't just blast anyone who types in caps. it just immediately like, no, stop it.
Dude.
All right.
No love for you.
Yeah. And with that, I am the storyteller of this chronicle, the one who will guide my players through the horrific nightmare hellscape that is Isle of the Damned. I think with this, let's start with a recap. Who would like to lead our recap for tonight?
All right, let's go. Let's do it. So, in the preamble, a pale figure was stalking through the woods. It went onto a farm and ate a cow until the farmer came out and startled it away. The actual episode began at the end of Elysium. Prince Gwyneth was asking the council how it went since he was in meetings the whole time. Sister Iris said she wanted Elysium to start earlier. Maud told Gwyneth about Oliver kind of antagonizing Judas, and she was a little doubtful about whether she should have done that or not. Gwyneth and Iris agreed to get together to pin down what exactly is or isn't a breach of decorum, like shaping your body with disciplines. Gwyneth noted the absence of Sir Oliver and was told he left with Eloise to keep her from Douglas. Gwyneth and Randolph felt it was out of character for Oliver to leave without saying anything and also not come back to report at the end of the night. So
I just want to say your mic
mic
is a little quiet. It's
Fuzzy at
Fuzzy.
times.
Oh no!
ah,
Oh, no.
that's
Sounds
clear.
perfect now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
good now.
All right,
Okay.
continue.
Sorry everybody. Randolph went to investigate where Oliver had gone. but he didn't come back before dawn, so everyone else retired for the day. But before that, Randolph went out and asked the city rats if they had seen two people who fit Sir Oliver and Eloise's description. The rats said that they saw people who looked like that get into a carriage and leave the city. So before bed, Randolph sent Rose to tail the carriage and determine if they were going to Douglas. He cut it really close to the point where he had to actually bury himself on the beach to sleep, but he did. All was good. In the morning, Rose reported that the carriage was heading to Douglas. So the council gathered to discuss what to do, and they were joined by Snorri, the crypt keeper, and our new friend, just returned from Torpor. He came looking for Father Collins and brought the traditional gift, which is apparently a steak with bone wrapped around it. That's probably not a good description, but Randolph asked Snorri how old the crypts were, thinking maybe we can find something of our disappeared Viking fellow. But Snorri only knows the crypts for a couple of centuries, even though he said there were some that were older. Randolph shared his news about the carriage and Sir Oliver. So Gwyneth went and used Krana to try to figure out what was happening. He had a vision of Oliver and Eloise riding in a carriage together, holding hands in church, and then standing on the edge of a cliff. In the vision, Eloise was holding a bundle of fabric, which had like baby cries coming from it. But when Oliver reached for it, the fabric unraveled and it was empty, and then he was standing on the cliff alone. Gwyneth saw then it's vision live action saw them disembarking from the carriage together in Douglas, and there was a dark aura surrounding Oliver. There was also something resisting being seen in his vision, and when he awoke, his demon returned to offer its help in interpreting what was going on. It asked for a sacrifice again. Then we get to the exciting part. Maud and Iris were going to feed, and Maud saw that the door to her room was ajar and went in. There was a fresh corpse there. That's not cool. Had obviously been fed on by a Canite. Cut to Randolph and Gwyneth went to speak with Judas, who is actually packing to leave. He offered to stay in Peel and contribute if Gwyneth or one of his childer would agree to follow his path and kind of become his pupil, his Padawan, if you will. Gwyneth wasn't interested, but he said he would speak with his childer and get back to Judas the following evening. As Snorri was leaving the castle, he actually saw a wight stalking him from the shadows, and when it noticed it was seen, it climbed the castle wall and disappeared into a window. I have noted that Maud ran into Randolph and the prince and said what happened in her room. Gwyneth heard a scratching from the floor above. So Randolph and Maud were superheroes and they climbed out the window to get to the next floor faster. Gwyneth went to the stairs because, down where Snorri was, he ran into Sister Iris and Amir and Marana and told them what he saw. Amir immediately disappeared, and Snorri and Iris went to track the white. They caught it eating another servant. Oh no. Did someone DC? It's not me, is
I
it?
think Thomas. I
I
think
No.
think,
yeah. I think Lily turned off
Thomas.
Thomas's computer.
Oh no! No!
Well,
Sorry about
These
that.
things
Please
happen.
continue.
No worries. So they caught the white eating another servant in another room, and through the use of shadow tentacles and brute strength, they sort of caught it. Then Randolph and Maud burst through the window and did their punching, slashing. Snorri bit him, and they did enough damage to put the white back in torpor. Gwyneth came in right at the end and was like, "Don't kill him yet. Have an idea." So they brought, it was actually the Dog Lord, they brought it to the council chamber where Gwyneth told everybody about his demon and the offer on the table because here's someone we're getting ready to kill anyway. Everyone voted that no, they shouldn't take the demon up on their offer. Amir was the only one who felt like he thinks it's a djinn, may have something useful to give us. Marana said nothing, but with the majority voting no, Gwyneth gave the order for Randolph to kill the Dog Lord without being sacrificed, and so that's what happened. Um, Gwyneth shared his vision about Oliver and asked if Maud had a supernatural way to find out information as well. She said no. So instead, we're going to write a diplomatic letter of inquiry to Douglas, being like, hey, so why is our seneschal there? And Gwyneth and Iris are going to write it together. And then we ended the episode with Snorri gathering the bodies and whistling a dirge as he left the city. Very cheerful. And that is our recap.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Wildlife is not loving you today. My goodness.
That's because I haven't gotten
Lose
in
an
character
eye.
yet.
Mm,
I don't think she's going to respect that regardless.
nope.
Lily, step away.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, then.
Mhm.
I think with that, we can begin today's session with a scene in which we see a clay bust sitting upon a large wooden pedestal. We see as a figure steps towards it, placing a hand upon the soft clay, beginning to press and mold, shifting its shape and form. As we pull back, we see the horrific form of Judas, his large hands molding the clay, pushing it and shaping it into a wholly new, inhuman design. We watch as he pulls upon the corners, causing pieces of the clay head to extend like horns, grabbing them and twisting them around. In some cases, making it look as if it's grown out of the head and back into the cheek, and then through to the other side. We watch as he continues to mold and press this horrific design with a calm, perhaps smile is the wrong word. The appearance of a smile, calm on his face. We watch as one of his large talons crosses the edge of the clay, and we watch as the clay begins to bleed. We then watch as he presses his hand against it once more, wiping away the cut. Before we pull back to see Judas's face, a large toothy grin, full of fangs, sharp teeth. Before we cut back to the clay bust, to see what appears to be the head and shoulders of a person that has been severed at the torso. Their arms completely removed, and their face a mix of flesh and bone, bleeding from the eyes. And with that, we begin the session. With this, man has a hobby. Yes, with this, I believe you still have some things to discuss about what you want to do for the rest of the night. Is there anything anyone would like to raise?
Point of order, as Snorri is taking care of those bodies, he will, as he's going to dispose of them, so to speak, he will be eating whatever
Yeah.
is left in them.
In that case, you get about 5 blood points, leaving you 1 away from your maximum.
What Randolph would like to do is generally do his duty as sheriff, partially, which is mostly a patrol. The outskirts of Peel and the surrounding countryside, perhaps along with Ragnar to go on a hunt with him as well, because strange things are happening, and if there was a time for anyone to make their move, it'd be nowish.
It's true.
Mhm.
Alright then.
Besides, he wants to get a start on the search for the ancient battlefields, which he thinks might be useful.
Fair enough.
I think Maud might go on a bit of a hunt. She's feeling a bit peckish.
Alright. And what is Gwynedd up to?
I mean, Gwen is supposed to talk with his childer about, Judas's offer, but let's face it, it's not gonna happen. So he can still go talk to them anyways.
Alright. Alright then. I think with that we will start off with Maud. Make me a wits and survival.
Alright, with survival. Do, 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 do. Standard difficulty.
Yes, standard difficulty.
Alright. 2 successes.
2 successes. That's enough to find yourself a nice target to feed upon. Does Maud have any particular preferences upon who she hunts and feeds upon, or just whatever she comes across?
I think so, though I might double check if our remains thing mentioned anything specific. No, if it did. Yeah, I think pretty much preference wise at the moment, I think she doesn't particularly mind. I think she'd at this point just try to pull someone aside who would be alone.
Alright. Easy enough. You've managed to find someone who's off on their own through the streets late at night. What's your hunger at currently? Are you at half? Are you
You're at
above
half.
Or about half?
Just at half. Yeah.
Alright. In that case, make me a self-control roll, difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4? Absolutely. 4 successes.
Yeah.
Nice.
You manage to not lose yourself to the beast. You take, I'd say probably around 2 points of blood. Any more, and the person's more likely to get injured or die, but that's up to you to decide if you want to do that.
I think for the time being, that's fine. It gets me above half at least.
Alright. Okay. 2 points of blood.
Indeed. I'll change that on my little... Oh, it's already been changed.
Alright. Alright then. Easy enough. You managed to leave your victim relatively alright. They do, of course, still have the marks in their skin, as your bite does not heal naturally. So whether or not they'll survive in the coming days is hard to tell, but it's not your problem at the moment.
Exactly, not my particular problem.
It's not your problem right now.
Yeah. I'm sure they won't die of illness or disease.
Probably be fine.
Yeah, probably be fine.
I'll walk it off. It's fine.
Walk it off.
Walk it off.
Some dirt in it.
All right.
Good for you. Builds character.
Exactly. All right then. I think with that we will then do Granite. So Granite, you go to meet with your child there. They answer
He
the
goes to
call.
meet with his child there. Yep. And he says, the elder Judas has put forth an interesting offer to take one of you as his pupil to learn his path. Either of you are interested. I didn't want to speak for you. Of course, he offered it to me first, but I'm not interested at this time, at least. What do you think?
Luen, or whatever his name is. That his name? Luet?
Question? Yeah.
Luahin. He'd go, that monster? No, of course not. Your other child, Morgan, is a bit more solemn in his answer. He says, would it help you, my lord, if I did? I would be willing to, so long as there is something that we can gain out of it.
He is a powerful ally, but I would hate to lose either of you, for I feel if you become his pupil, in some ways, you're no longer my child, and not sure I should like that. Plus, I don't know the particular terms, but his path is all mine, which I've been teaching both of you. I'm not sure if it would be worth the sacrifice, if I'm honest. But you are your own person and can choose what you wish.
They both look at you for a moment. Make me a wits empathy. Difficulty 7.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. You can
Ooh,
tell they're both
one
trying to
ten.
gauge you to see if this is a trap. Well, mostly because he does not want to do it, and if he trying to see if this is like a chat, like a trap, and if he disagrees with it, he's not loyal to you. And Morgan is more like, is you're offering us the choice to do so a trap, and that you actually don't want us to do it. He seems much more interested in actually agreeing with it because he has this, like, a bit of curiosity in him that wants to understand what exactly this elder is. Well,
think-
his broodmate wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's my kid right there. Yeah, Gwyneth is just gonna go. I ask very plainly, I put this to you fully, honestly, for you to make the choice for yourselves. You are my childer, but you're your own K-Knights. You can learn new disciplines if you wish. You know, you can learn things that I haven't taught you. If you so desire, I will miss you if you choose to follow him, but he's an elder. I mean, he's a powerful ally and can teach you a lot. So, it's your choice.
Are you being honest?
He's being totally honest.
Okay, then. In that case, charisma expression. Standard diff.
Okay.
Actually, difficulty 5. You've been with these people for a while, they know
Okay.
you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Morgan would step forward and would say, I would like to see what this elder has. What lessons they wish to teach. I want to learn more about
Very well.
the clan.
Very well. Then you shall. Shall go together and tell him as soon as you're ready.
I'm ready when you are.
Let's go.
Right then. Luella? I'm just gonna say it, call him Llewellyn.
Llewellyn?
Llewellyn.
Llewellyn. Let's call him Lou. No, Llewellyn is going to take a step back and going to say, well, I want nothing to do with that fucking thing. So, good luck. I'm gonna go back to the Haven. Actually, no, I was gonna say, I'm gonna go back to the village. At that point, he would leave.
All right. Yeah, we'll head back to the castle.
Alright then. Meanwhile, Randolph. Wits alertness.
Would the search specialty apply, or the reactive specialty?
Search one.
Let's do this. That is 5 successes.
Alright. As you're creeping around the edge of the town of the city, keeping an eye out for anything that might catch your eye, be it an enemy or perhaps more information, you would see that there are what looks to be two hunters that were having a conversation next to a campfire. Whether or not you join them, or just find yourself getting close, you hear them talking. Have you heard about the witch? I have. That thing that's been supposedly killing livestock or whatever. Now, that's a strange thing. It's not killing the livestock, they're just, I don't know, doing something to them. It's like the life's been taken from them. It's strange. I mean, but it's like farming folk. Full of suspicion they are. There's no way to know what they're saying is true. But what if it is? What if there is this witch of the woods? What if we find her? Aye. King might pay a lot for a witch. Either burn her or something. Maybe we should try our luck. I don't know about that. Seems a bit risky. Nah, what do you know? And then the conversation goes on from there.
This is why the silence of the blood is important, so that the livestock don't get too uppity whenever their livestock gets sick. But this is interesting. A witch of the woods around the nearby farms. I think Randolph will check that out along with his new hunting companion. He's feeling stronger since he drained the blood of the Dog Lord. Even though the Dog Lord was axiomatically weaker than him, the blood of a Cainite is always a rare treat.
This is the most delicious of bloods. And the most potent.
It is. It's that werewolf blood, but he doesn't know that.
It's true. He has tasted that. The delicious cocaine blood that is the blood of werewolves.
Indeed. But yes, better
Also,
he
yeah.
take a look at this witch stuff before the human starts. Worst case scenario, actually finding something. Best case scenario, which is still bad, finding some random villager.
Pretty much. Well, witch hunts are bad news either way.
Yeah,
Because if they find someone they believe is a witch, suspicion continues to grow.
indeed.
Someone else could be a witch.
And
And
why
then
not the people who hang around exclusively at night and look weird?
Exactly.
Yep.
It's a slippery slope. Alright then. I think with that, from Randolph we will get this time we'll get a wit survival. These are actually trying to track someone down. And while that's happening, we're going to cut back to Gwynedd. And Morgan. As we
My
see
camera
you...
isn't being manipulated by a cat at all.
Oh yeah, he's
fine. He's
your cameraman, isn't he? Your
Aw.
camera cat.
Camera cat.
apparently.
And
Oh,
yum
now he's
cat.
the keyboard cat.
Yeah.
Ah,
Alright.
we're
So...
blessed by the cat. Or
Yes.
cursed.
Yep.
We see Gwynedd arrive at the door to where Judas has been staying. I assume you knock on the door?
Yep.
The door is opened.
How poor Stefan is doing.
The peak cracks through for a moment before the door opens up. As it does, you see Stefan does not have a nose. It's completely flat. And he goes,
Unfortunate.
The master, he's ready to talk with you.
you can hear the sound of vibration
well.
through his face. He
All
leads
right,
you
so we
through.
go in.
As you do, you can already see him. As I described in the opening, he is sitting next to what looks to be part of a body on a large pedestal that he's currently looking at. Before he turns
Just
to you.
glances over at Morgan like, this is what you have to look forward to.
Yeah, Morgan's expression is rather neutral. He's kind of like just shut it off at this point.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, so Gwyneth will say, Judas, may I introduce my child, Morgan? He has expressed an interest in studying with you.
Judas
Your offer
turns
still
his
stands.
head, looking at you and then to Morgan before he stands up from his chair. His long, lanky form extends upwards before he steps over towards Morgan. He towers over him as he looks down, before a grin appears on his face. Yes, you will do. I assume this is your confirmation for our agreement.
Yes, if this is acceptable to you, then I assume you'll be staying in the city, and perhaps we should find you more permanent accommodations.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well then, I shall have to unpack. We begin on the
yes.
morrow, students. At this point, he's just like cut you out of his vision.
Let us know if you need any help and what requirements you have for permanent accommodations.
I like my workspaces with height.
See. She'll have to make some inquiries.
You watch as he steps towards the human bust, as it were, as he just places his hand over the face and grabs it and pulls away from it. It pulls away like clay, leaving behind muscle and blood that just begins to spill forth. Before he steps over to Stefan and places his palm where he grabbed it over his face. As he pulls back, you see like a mismatched nose that looks kind of broken and in the wrong places. Stefan kind of cowers and looks down and goes,
Thank you, Master, thank you.
before he turns around to look at you and says,
Are we not done?
I think we are. Would you like Morgan to help you unpack, or shall we visit you on the morrow?
I shall see him on the morrow. Thus we
Very
are
well,
done.
then.
and he turns away
We are.
and returns back to his seat, sitting down in the exact same position he was before, as if he was a statue, admiring the now destroyed face of the bust.
Gwyneth turns and leads Morgan out and is just like rolling his eyes a little bit,
Mhm.
but not where Judas can see.
Yeah. You see Morgan almost release a breath for a moment as he goes, That was intense.
Very intense, yes. Know that you can always come to me with any concerns you have, or if you change your mind.
Of course. I know I can always rely on you, sire.
Good lad. We go
Alright.
back to the neighborhood.
With that, we cut back to Randolph.
Randolph unfortunately only got one success, but it is a success. He's embarrassing himself in front of his new hunting mate.
Exactly. I'm gonna say that even with one success, because you have the aid of Ragnar, um, he kind of helps make up for the areas that you're missing. And as working
Very
together in
nice.
tandem, you eventually do track down the edge of um, a cattle farm, where you can already see there is like a number of cattle that have already begun to lie down, ready to sleep. And as you're standing at the edge, Ragnar looks around before he communicates through through your connection with animalism, as he says, "It's coming." As you see,
This would be the time.
sneaking out from the bush, a figure in a large cloak, creeping past the fence and into the area where the livestock are.
Randolph doesn't begrudge this person their feeding, but these are not their lands. He will wait until they are fed or discovered, because to do otherwise would make a quiet situation a lot louder, and he wants to figure out where they go afterwards.
All right. As you do, you see them make their way over to an animal. You watch as the cow reacts for a moment, looking towards them, before she just kind of raises her hand up, and the animal calms, lowering its head as the figure creeps over and bites into the flesh of the beast. It's
Sorry.
no, it's so funny because it was both you and Blue doing it at the same time. It was like you were both doing the same thing. Down. Yeah.
Down.
Fluffy cat hours.
Mhm.
Oh.
But yes, it is a few minutes that pass before the figure finally pulls back, kind of pushes their hand over the wound, smearing the blood around, before they kind of look around, taking a step back, and begins to creep their way back into the forest.
Randolph follows, Ragnar ideally padding behind, silently, dogging her steps, as it were.
Mm-hmm. It is actually making a dexterity stealth.
Indeed. And I add one more thing to this because I bought a dot in a discipline recently.
You spending
That
experience.
is, I did spend experience. This is 8 successes, assuming silent movement counts.
Yes, it would. What was the other thing you were trying to activate?
Oh, I don't need to activate it because I bought the first dot of celerity, which adds to my dexterity-based dice pools.
Wonderful.
Nice.
All right then. We see you creeping through the night with an unnatural grace, following behind unnoticed. We watch as her steps, or the figure steps, are made in the ground. You notice they are small and lithe, while your steps disappear as your foot raises, as if they were never there to begin with. Eventually, you follow her to what looks to be a cobbled together shade. You see where like leaves and like trees have been placed above and on top of each other to kind of form this makeshift defense from the light. You can already see a few bits where it looks like the sun can poke through, and a bit of the ground that's just been dug and the dirt has been pushed aside as you see the figure standing next to it. As you step closer, you begin to notice their form is covered in dirt. The cloak that they're wearing is filthy, essentially.
They
And
probably bury themselves to supplement their.
And you see the figure pull the hood down to reveal very messy. Make sure I get the hair correct. Yeah, very messy brown hair that looks like it's like partly in braids, but the braids have kind of fallen apart through the active movement of the night.
I think I would like, not for a practical reason, but rather for that of effect, to activate the eyes of the beast to see better in the darkness and to have its eyes take on a red glowing sheen. And he will speak and say, "Are you new to this, or new to rough living?"
She immediately turns around, fast. She scuttles backwards, tripping over, actually, and falling in the hole that they've dug, before kind of pushing themselves to their feet and saying, I swear I didn't, I, I, I didn't mean to do anything wrong. I'm just, I just, I just trying to survive. I just kind of looks at you and
Trying
goes,
to survive is all one can do. You've found a way which is slightly inappropriate. Not the feeding off of cattle or livestock. That's the way to do it. But you're feeding in lands which are not yours without the knowledge of that who rules it.
I, are you, are you the devil?
No, far from it. Though I will not say I am in any way holy. I am one of you. I am a K-Knight. A vampire.
She looks very confused. What do you mean? Is that what I am?
You feed off of the blood of livestock. He gestures to the shelter. Hide from the sun. It burns you, doesn't it? Fire makes something rise within you, and always the hunger.
You see her look down towards her leg. You get the feeling she's definitely felt the burn of the sun before, especially judging by the makeshift haven.
You are what I am, and there are more of us too.
I see. Why am I like this?
Someone turned you into it. They drained you of your vital essence and fed you a drop of theirs. You became what they are. Younger, weaker, but one of them nonetheless. Do you have any idea of who could have done that?
I don't know. How am I even supposed to believe any of this? How I know you didn't do this to me.
I've never met you before. And, while it's entirely possible you wouldn't have seen me coming, I'm more responsible than that. Trust your eyes and your instincts. But there are two important things to note. The first is that the person who did this to you, they did something quite wrong indeed by not informing my leader, the one who oversees Peel. And the second is that you must come with me to make an appearance before the same. Your method of feeding has raised some eyebrows, and people are already speaking in hushed whispers about a witch in the woods. Soon enough, people will come with pitchfork and torches, and if they do not find you, they will find another.
Didn't mean to do anything wrong. I was just. I'll go with you. Just
You're
I want to understand what's happening, and everything is so strange.
I was where you are once. It gets easier. Come. And probably just as unsettling as the guy with glowing red eyes, who'd been following her for a while, is someone who had also been following her for a while and is a gigantic wolf.
Yep, gigantic red wolf.
But yeah, I mean, he is sheriff, and this is a evidence of a violation of the right of progeny. So he's gonna have to bring it before the prince.
Yep,
Her,
this is
rather.
a breach.
He will say, and it is an afterthought for him as well, without looking back to her, just hearing her footfalls as she follows. What's your name?
My name is Bride.
Right. I'm Randolph. This is Ragnar.
Hi. She looks at you and the wolf. The wolf kind of growls at her for a moment before turning around and stalking into the woods.
Soon enough, her sire will feed your belly, he says in a low growl. Just a matter of finding him. Oh, someone's at the window. But yes, he will return to Prince Gwynedd. Sorry about that. Yeah, with the seemingly fledgling in tow, he imagines that she is telling the truth about it because no one would risk the sun to pull off a con. At least
You
no one he
assume.
knows of. Yeah, possibly Ravnos. Ugh.
I mean, to be fair, unlikely to even know about. Well, there's some weird
Gabriel and Ravnos do
K-Knights
have a
out there.
history, but yeah, there are
That is
weird
true.
K-Knights out there.
There's weird K-Knights out there. I'm thinking more because they're a rarity this far away. Well,
Yes, that's a good point.
it's
Not too many
possible.
Western
Yeah,
Ravnos.
we
Yeah.
just say it's possible, but yeah.
Yeah, I think probably don't know about Ravnos. Does know there's weird kindred. Doesn't really think anyone would risk the sun to
Yeah.
try and con someone into thinking they're new.
Exactly, because that's ridiculous.
Maybe.
Kindred never make
Yeah,
ridiculous
it is
decisions.
ridiculous.
There
This
is
is-
that
this
big
is
maybe,
either-
isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, there's always the big maybe. This person's either a master manipulator who takes a lot of risks, or they're exactly who they appear to be.
Alright. I'll say for the sake of this meeting as you bring her forward, everyone has arrived for a separate meeting. It's kind of to go through everything that's kind of happened, taking care of all of the admin work that just needs to get done on a night-to-night basis. As you arrive with Bride in tow.
This meeting should have been an email.
Fortunately, you don't have email.
Nope.
I know.
Rest in peace.
The email is entirely birds taking messages. It's just rows.
This really should have been a bird mail.
This meeting should have been a bird.
Yeah. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Randolph.
Evening.
I found a new friend, and word of a violation of the third tradition.
I see. And who might you be? Gwyneth says, looking at her.
She kind of looks at you and then looks at everyone else in the room and goes, I'm Bride. I'm, new? She looks a bit confused and then she looks at you, Randolph. And then she kind of takes a step back, lowering her head.
This is Prince Gwynedd, ruler of Peel, our kind within the city.
Prince, are you a family member to the king?
No, our court is different from those of the Kine, which you are no longer. I guess Gwyneth would look to Randolph to explain a little bit more, like what her deal is.
He will nod and give his report to everyone in the council, and he'd say, while patrolling Peel and preparing to look around the outskirts, I heard hunters whispering of rumors, farmers talking about a witch in the woods, doing something to animals, not killing them, but weakening them. They talked about doing a search, bringing back the witch, and maybe getting a reward for it. Obviously, in the interests of protecting the silence of the blood, I investigated. I saw a bride here creep upon an animal, do something to it, and drink of its blood before slinking back into a makeshift haven out in the woods. I figured it best, given how new she appears to be, and given what this means for her sire, to bring them back. This was, he looks too bright almost for confirmation, hour and a half ago.
She goes to nod, but I think it's clear to anyone she's not entirely sure what you're talking about. A lot of what you said clearly just flew over her head.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
And where is your sire, child?
I don't know.
What do you recall before you woke up like this? This new hunger.
I was
What do you remember?
I was I was going out to take in the washing before nightfall, and well, it was already quite dark. I left it longer than I probably should have, but then I just remember this feeling I can't describe, and then everything went dark. And then when I woke up, I just had this feeling I needed to run away, or I might do something I didn't want to do.
I see. Well, someone has committed serious infraction by doing this to you, and also by leaving you on your own afterwards. Gwyn sort of looks around at the others. Oh, go ahead, Randolph.
Mr. Marana, do you or your agents have any information on Canaanites where, not on speaking terms with in the area, we know for a fact the one who did this isn't a Nosferatu?
Sismerada is here, and would say, not that I know of. Most who are of your brethren, but I see no obvious signs of that either.
Alright. As much as I hate to agree with the stereotype, being turned in the wilderness at night is precisely what happened to me. And if I didn't fight as far as I did, I wouldn't even know the face of my sire. Oh, she'd have killed me. He muses for a moment, but he shakes his head and goes, either way, finding this person is a priority.
Well, for now she
What
is
is it mean?
caitiff. Clanless. So what now, Prince?
Now we will perhaps do some more investigating about her origins. In the meanwhile, she will need someone to teach her our ways. Maud, what do you say to taking Stride under your wing in the meantime?
Oh, I'm happy to do that.
Very well then. ST, is there anything about her that Gwyneth could suss out some sort of clan leaning?
None of
Or
the
are we gonna
obvious
have to
ones.
bring in Oswald?
Uh,
Okay.
well, there's only a few ways to actually know what a person's clan is either by paying very close attention, and even then there are always outliers. There's always rare bloodlines that
Right.
don't match what you generally
Mhm.
expect. So for the most part,
Right.
it's hard to know. It's why generally those without sires, or are abandoned, are considered caitiff and are just written off as something else completely.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they're not even
Would
considered
the
by most to
Tremere
be
be able to
Canaanites.
figure it out? I
Presumably.
see. Okay. Then I think with Maud accepting that responsibility, he would say, I think it might help us learn more if we had a sample of her blood for Oswald to examine.
I don't see an issue with it.
Maud, would you collect it? Not immediately, of course. But
I could collect it immediately if you like.
it does not have to be immediately. I'll
Right?
leave it to Maud's
Like already
discretion for
putting.
now.
I think Maud's
puts
just
the
kind of
dagger
seeing
away.
Randolph's enthusiasm, just kind of steps back.
It's not. It's not like full enthusiasm. It's not. I get to draw blood. It's drawing blood is necessary. Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. She knows how Randolph
But
is.
indeed. But instead of a dagger, he will kind of put a companionable pat, which is maybe a little bit too hard, on Bride's shoulder and go, "You like Maud? She's very good."
Okay.
If it would please everybody, I have a question for the child.
Go ahead.
Bride, how long have you existed in this fashion? Out in the woods, feeding on cattle.
I don't know. The nights kind of blend together. Maybe a week.
When this happened, you said you ran to avoid doing something you would regret. Have you already done something that you regret?
She shakes her head. I made sure I did. I
Just gives a
didn't want to hurt anyone or anything.
a
Good
nod
instinct.
towards the prince and Randolph both.
That was a good instinct. But you must still learn our ways if you are to continue to exist as you do. I should see to that. Go ahead, Randolph.
In the meantime, while Maud takes you under her wing, where is your home that you held in life?
It wasn't very far. It was not too far from Peel, actually. The villages.
I'll begin my search there. A week-old trail is far from the most difficult thing I have tracked. And if the assailant has embraced once, he may have done it with others. Look around for disappearances, other kills.
Yes, the sooner the better. We stop them and find out who they are. Certainly.
A question before I begin, my prince. Given that this one has violated the traditions, if I find her sire, do you want me to bring them in for questioning, or do I have your permission to kill them there?
I would
Bride's
like to
eyes
question them.
kind of wides at that. Anyway, go ahead.
I would like to question them, but if they make it too difficult to be brought in for questioning, I leave it to your discretion to punish them as fits the crime in this case.
Understood, prince.
I think Maud just kind of rests kind of walks up to Bride and rests a hand on her shoulder.
She kind of looks to you,
Wordlessly.
hesitates for a moment before kind of nods to you.
Is there any more council business for today? I'm gonna assume that Gwyneth and Iris sent off the letter to Douglas already.
At that point, Sister Miranda would look to you and go, I would like to speak to you privately, Prince, if possible.
Of course. And he'll stand up and move to another room.
Okay.
Believe the council can disperse while we speak, unless anyone else has business.
I got nothing.
Nothing I can think of.
Snorri immediately turns towards the door and starts heading out of the castle without saying
Is he
another word.
whistling? The real
Not this
question.
time.
Okay.
There's no bodies to carry, so he only does that when he's got bodies to carry.
He's not in a good enough mood.
No.
Iris went busy. I'd have a conversation I need to have, but someone else can cover the masquerade breaches later.
Right, with that, Gwynedd, you and Sister Miranda go off into another room. She stops for a moment before she looks to you and goes, Why did you let the caitiff live?
I think for now, it's not her fault what happened to her. We don't know enough yet.
It sets
I would
a
like to know more.
precedent, Prince Gwynedd.
It does. It does.
They will come
And you
to expect
disapprove?
things. I disapprove when it
The
might
caitiff.
make... Not the caitiff. Those who are watching. They know. Or they will know. Nothing stays secret for long in these islands.
True.
It is customary to destroy caitiff. I understand there are some aspects of mercy, but do not let them mistake it for weakness. Because if it is weakness, it will be taken advantage of. And I will not
Yes, I imagine
submit
so.
to a weak prince.
Understood, sister.
You better hope so. I have other things to attend to.
As always, I appreciate you taking me aside.
That she wanders off into the darkened halls. What's going through Gwyneth's mind at this point in time?
Gwyneth is like... Yeah, it definitely his Zamitsi nature is like rising in anger at this like challenge, right? But he's also like the diplomat in him is like, well, at least she took me aside to give me her disagreement opinion, unlike Sister Irish usually yells at me in front of everybody, which is not as good. But also, you know, she's older than he is, and like this is a threat. This is her being like, man up or else. So he gets that, but that's where his Zamitsi nature is like, oh, we're gonna go. But at the same time, he's like, this is the decision I made, like, period. You know?
Yep.
So. You know, it's the prince thing. Like, there's an exception because I said so.
Yeah. Why is
Whether
there
it's a good
exception?
idea
I
or not.
fucking
It's an
said there
exception
is.
because I said so. So, But also, he really, when he saw this young K-Knight, he's thinking of like kind of Maud's whole thing, and he's like, I don't know, she needs a little friend for a minute. Like, you know, maybe she can practice like being a parent for a little bit. Maybe that'll be a good thing,
Best stepdad ever.
He's a better step
You
up, I
want a
guess.
kid? Here's a kid.
I indeed. Yeah, I know you've got empty nest syndrome. Here's a child. Congratulations.
Jesus
Good luck.
Christ.
Um, but
Too
yes.
soon, Randolph. Too soon.
I suspect Bride will have a much better time with Maud as a mentor than with Randolph. Because while Randolph would definitely take care of her, it'd be a very different experience.
Well, yeah,
Mhm.
and Gwyneth isn't getting the vibe that she is Gangrel. Like, there's no reason to say she is or isn't, but in his mind, like, you guys would have vibed more from the beginning if she was. So he's like, you know, let's see how she does around a different
One thing to
influence.
keep in mind is they are on different paths. She's 100% humanity.
Indeed.
Yeah.
She's very fresh. You killed her, she'd just end up a slightly stinky corpse.
Alright. I think with that, we will focus in on Maud and Bride as they are leaving the meeting chamber. As you do, Bride kind of follows sheepishly behind you before she kind of stops for a moment and says, So, when they were talking about getting rid of the one that made me, does that mean they're gonna get rid of me too?
I wouldn't let that happen.
Really?
Really.
Why?
I don't think it's your fault.
She kind of nods at that. Thank you.
Of course.
That should follow behind you.
Maud would kind of nod and would kind of look forward, but would kind of keep an eye on her in the corner of her eye as she probably leads her back to the room that Maud had at the castle. Dead body no longer there.
Yeah, it's been cleaned up.
But yeah, it's been cleaned.
Thank you, Snorri.
The floors have been scrubbed.
Thank you, sorry.
Yeah.
You can still hear the dirge as the body left. It's still there. It's fine.
Open the door, there's another body.
There's a new one.
There's
Yeah.
a new one.
No, it's completely clean since you left it.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Maud would kind of like gesture for her to enter the room, and Maud would probably stay in there with her, as that's probably the best way for her to keep an eye on Bride, that being keep her safe and also keep her from doing anything that might put herself or anyone else here in danger.
Smart plan.
Mm-hmm.
Alright then. Is there anything else people want to touch on before we come to the end of the night?
I think I would like
Um,
to talk to Oh, yes, Snorri. Go with Snorri.
Nori is going to go back to his haven and have Ingrid help him locate some of his books to begin looking over for information upon a ritual of sight.
Alright.
So
Look.
that's all.
Alright. Going through a bunch of old scrolls. As we see like a bunch of essentially unknown languages that are written down within these very old texts. where it looks like the paper is almost barely being held together, as if held together by magic. And we see Snorri going through them carefully, searching for what he looks for, before eventually finding it. Is there anything else you'd like to do with that, or simply make a note of the ritual?
He would like to perform said ritual with the white that they destroyed in the castle.
Alright. So using the ashes that was left behind. Let me look over this.
Was it completely ash at this point?
It would have turned to ash. Essentially, would have been like ashy,
Remember, we
broken
were like,
bones.
oh, we should have taken blood, and then it was like ash.
Well, then that won't work. So never mind. Fix that.
Yeah.
Alright, back to Randolph. Very good.
Actually, yeah, because you need a proper corpse for that ability. I'm assuming this
Yeah,
is
yep.
Witch Eye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate.
Yep.
Actually, you do have the corpses of the bodies that was found. You could use one of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, do you want to describe this, or do you want me to
Yeah.
do it?
Thomas, could you do me a favor? Could you look up Witch Eye for me? Let me do the same.
Already done. It's a level 2 ritual. So this would be Intelligence Occult, difficulty 5. By implanting an enchanted eye from the corpse of a restless soul in her own pocket. Takes an entire evening to perform, but at midnight the celebrant cuts out her own eye and the eye of the corpse, places the corpse eye in her own eye socket, and places her eye in the corpse. Vampiric healing takes place instantaneously, sealing the eye into her eye socket, causing your appearance to decrease by 1 when the eye is visible, and increases the difficulty of perception rolls involving mundane eyesight by 1. However, all difficulties of trying to make eye contact with you, like dominate, increases by 1 for other people, and it allows you to see into things. That said, the ghost will be upset with you, but for a necromancer, that's a occupational hazard.
All right. So what was the difficulty again?
5.
All right. So that's 9 dice difficulty 5 for you.
I love necromancy.
Anyone was wondering.
Six successes.
All right. With 6 successes, could you draw me the effects, Thomas?
Yeah. Do you just want it copied and pasted?
Yes, if you could. That'd be
Bear
appreciated.
with me for one quick moment.
We'll macro that at some point when we got time, Mark. Sorry.
Absolutely, no problem. In either way, we watch as Snorri kneels over this body that has been desiccated, had its throat ripped out, part of its body torn open. Though it no longer bleeds, it lays there cold and dead. As we see Snorri reach in and delicately cut out the eyeball, pulling it forth and placing it before him on a small stone dais. We then watch the tricky bit, as Snorri takes a knife and begins to cut out his own eye. Eventually, we don't see the exact thing, but like doing like the thing where like the camera's behind his head as we see the knife come up. Before we watch his eye placed into the socket of the corpse, and the other one is placed into his head. We hear him chanting ancient words, long forgotten and long lost by mortal tongues. Until finally, there is a sound of blood flowing. Almost as if we can hear the sounds of the vitae moving through his veins like a rushing water spout. Before the ritual completes, and we see this sickly green eye in Snorri's skull. I think with that, I'd assume Snorri would cover it with something, like an eye patch or something. Because otherwise, Snorri, your appearance becomes 0. And you become a
Yeah.
breach of the masquerade. Or a breach of the
Yeah.
silence of the blood.
Yeah, I imagine he actually does the just the strip of cloth that they would use for such a thing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Tied, cover
Yep.
just the eye, tie it behind the head, and probably put a piece of leather under that before he ties it, just to double it up for sake of
Yep.
necessity.
Cool. Alright then. And that is completed at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Does it have any effects based on successes, Thomas, or is it just it succeeds?
It just succeeds.
Okay.
It's a ritual, so
Alright.
the death sight had something based off of successes, but it's the fact that they got the eye that
Okay.
makes death sight happen.
Alright, coolio. In that case,
And Snorri
go ahead.
would have Ingrid probably bury the corpse within the just beside where they rest,
Mm-hmm.
for sake of protecting his own eye.
Alright.
So
Easily done. I think it's probably there we see Snorri himself preparing for the torpor of day sleep. Alright then. And Randolph, I believe you had something else you want to do before the end of the night.
I did, and I would like to take the prince along with me too,
Alright.
if he is willing to speak to Percy.
Yep. Tonight is the night of checking on all the childer, so here we go.
They're just
All the
babies.
children. Yep.
Alright then.
You know, I wonder how Percy tastes now that he's a kindred. That's mostly out of character.
That's concerning.
Mostly.
I'm just saying, once you've had the beef Wellington.
You have had an interesting number of things to eat lately, haven't you?
I feel like I'm a culinary explorer.
Alright.
Something
With
special
that,
for the holidays, perhaps.
He chuckles.
with that, you arrive at the manor. And once you knock on the door, well, this is specifically Oliver's manor, the door would be answered by Stuart Anders. Looks at you and goes,
Hello, Anders.
"Greetings. I apologize. I thought you might have been Sir Oliver. Please come in."
Of course. So I assume you've heard nothing from him since Eve.
No, it's quite unusual. Has something happened?
Yes, we thought so as well.
This
Perhaps.
conversation might be best had with Percy as well. It affects you both.
Yes, we did come to visit Percy.
He seems to think for a moment. If you insist.
I do.
With that, he leads you further in until you arrive at one of the rooms. At which point Suidandas knocks at the door and you hear a voice of Percy. Enter. Suidandas opens the
I
door and
Was
do.
gonna
says,
have Randolph lead the way if Anders.
and
Yes.
Suidandas will say, Sir Percy, the sheriff and the prince have arrived to speak with you. At that point, he immediately sits up from where he was sitting, very much going into soldier mode. As he stands at attention, looks to you both. Your Majesty, Sheriff.
Good evening.
How might I be of service?
Percy, we've come to see you because, well, Oliver has left the city, and
What?
Stuart Anders says he hasn't heard anything of it. We were wondering if he said anything to you before he left.
No. What? That can't be true. What?
The both of you are bound to him quite strongly. So I want you to take these words into mind before I tell you the situation. We are strong, and we have his best interest in mind. As far as what has happened, we believe that he has been influenced by an unknown power, drawn to Douglas.
You see immediately go over to a corner where he grabs a sword and straps it to his side. Where is he? Let's go find him now.
Now is not the time for immediate action. We don't know what the enemy is. And we don't know how it can affect people or what hold it has over Sir Oliver. As he is now not of his sound mind, and you both are bound to him, if he gives an order that he would not normally give, you would obey him, would you not?
I can't just abandon him.
You
He's
aren't.
my lord. My liege.
You aren't abandoning him. You're leaving it in the hands of those who know the path better. We will direct you when the time comes, and you will be the one to put the sword to the enemy.
I think this is going to be a charisma and actually no, I think this is going to be a manipulation and either expression or intimidation.
Absolutely.
I'll also allow leadership.
My expression, my intimidation, and my leadership are all equal.
Ah,
Want some help with that, Randolph? You got it.
I mean, I would absolutely love some help. That would be very good. But I would also
Okay.
be willing to make the roll.
if you do,
Let's
just so you
see.
know, it will be difficulty 8 because he is bloodbound to Sir Oliver and
Indeed.
duty bound to serve him
Yeah,
and protect him if he's in danger.
let's see. Oh,
Worst case scenario, we'll just stake him and leave him in the basement.
no. Why? My dice are being weird right now.
What's the matter?
I'm just looking for leadership, and it's like, no. All right, charisma and
No leadership.
Leadership
I do
is
have-
it's
do
under
have
the first
leadership.
category. It's under talents, right
Yeah.
above legerdemain and below
Yeah, I
intimidation.
see it. I'm not sure if I should do leadership or intimidation. I don't know.
They will have different effects, and he will react to them differently.
I think leadership fits Gwynedd better.
Yeah, I think so
I'm
too.
not your character.
And you said it's difficulty 7?
It is
8.
difficulty
Or 8.
8.
Okay. Yeah, I think as Percy kind of starts to flip out, Gwyneth will step forward and say, Percy, we are handling the situation. We knew of this before you did, and we're simply bringing you in to the plan. And let's see if I can actually roll something useful.
I believe.
Fingers crossed. No!
Oh. I mean, I
Randolph,
could try,
you
but
be
the roll's
bad
already
cop.
been made.
2 1s.
You bad cop it,
Um,
Randolph.
He looks at you and goes, Your Majesty, I can't just abandon him. It is a knight's duty to protect others, especially when I cannot protect themselves. I'm afraid I must. I have to. I insist. I won't abandon him.
We have not abandoned him, and neither have you, but you are in a very precarious state now, Percy. To go into hostile territory while we're still gathering information would not be wise. Though it may be valiant, it will only lead to your termination.
I can bring
I
him
thought
back,
a
I'm
knight's
sure of
duty was
it.
to his lord.
I know him well. I have known him since I was a boy. Trust me, I will be able to bring him back.
He is under a dark influence right now, Percy. Something beyond what companionship could return him from. It will take powers beyond what you have at your disposal currently. We must work together to bring back Oliver. And we shall.
I see. He looks down. Very well. I'll wait. But I won't wait long. Can I at least know
Randolph
where
fully
he is?
believes he's lying.
Can I at least know where he's gone? Please.
I think Randolph, unless Gwynedd goes to stop him, he will
I think
say.
Randolph already said, honestly.
Yeah, he did already say.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
did you?
he'll
Never
add
mind.
more. Yeah. He'll say, he's gone to Douglas. From there, who can say?
I see.
After we returned from our original visit to the city of Douglas, did Sir Oliver mention anything to you of a woman he met there who reminded him of his late wife?
See Percy's eyes widen for a moment. Reminded him of Elise. Wait, was it Elise? No.
It's Elise. I'm pretty sure it was Elise.
Double
Wasn't
check.
Elise? We went through this the last time.
Oh, no,
Eloise.
Eloise
Eloise
was
was the
Toridel's
new
Eloise.
one.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
But
it would
Elise,
be.
I think, was the wife's name. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm gonna double check.
I feel like it was close. We went through this
Uh,
Elysium where you guys were
It
like,
was something
"Who's
like
this?
Esme or
Elysium.
something like that.
Esme, that's it.
Esme,
No,
Esme.
maybe
that's
it was
right.
Esme.
Esme, yeah.
As he would say, Esme. And then he says
Esme.
something to himself. Do either of you speak French?
Nah.
I have the lingua franca, so
Yeah. Essentially, he
Oh
says
boy, I feel
something
a
on
little bit now.
the lines of "it couldn't be," and the word for sister.
Hmm.
I don't speak the Frankish stuff.
I think with that, Stuart Anders would step forward and
So,
goes, "Perhaps it is good we leave it here for the night."
Anders, you're just as devoted. Can we trust you to keep a level head as well?
It was always required of me by Sir Oliver to keep a level head, even in times where he was unable to. I am loyal, but not
Very
to
good.
the point where it would be detrimental to my lord.
Most excellent.
let me assure both of you once again that this is a very high priority, not only for myself, but also for the Council. We will get to the bottom of this and return Oliver to Peel.
Percy just
If
kind of
you,
nods, but then kind of wanders off into the corner before sitting down. In almost a bit of a
if
huff.
either of you, oh, I'm sure, if either of you think of anything else that might help, or, of course, receive any communication from Sir Oliver, please report it to Randolph or myself as soon as you can.
Of course. Percy just kind of nods and waves his hand.
Gwyneth gives him a look at that.
He's not
Like,
even looking
little
at you.
boy.
He's just his eyes are like on the ground.
Mm,
I think, like, Randolph's not even. He doesn't have the Beast of the Tamis. He just has the regular state of child of these days. Good lord. I ate nothing but rabbits and the occasional hobo for a decade, and still.
Part of the beast is like, you better
But
show me some fucking respect.
exactly. And I think there's a moment when he not quite hunches, but goes into an almost primal stance before he. Come on. My prince, I think we've dealt with what we needed to here.
indeed. And because Percy's being a brat, Gwyneth will just turn to Anders. Thank you. And
Of
then they'll be
course.
off.
Allow me to lead you out. That
Thank you
Stuart
for
would
that.
take the front. Go ahead if
As
you want.
soon as they leave the mansion and are out of earshot, which isn't as far as the previous things, mostly because he doesn't think too much of the combined battle prowess of Percy and Stuart Anders, he'll say, "I give it a night or two before he tries to leave dressed incognito."
Is this with Anders around, or is
Yes.
this afterwards?
This is afterwards.
Okay, well, before you leave, Anders would approach you and say, "There is something I think you should see." As he would reach
Of
into his
course.
pocket and pull out a
Lead
letter
on.
that he would hand to you.
Uh-oh.
It has not
Oh,
been
Lord.
sealed.
Let's read it.
As you open it up, it looks to be a half-finished letter, one that was still in the middle of being drafted. It is written by Sir Oliver, and as you're kind of looking through it, it is written in French. So I imagine it's, just kind of looking through for you, going to kind of making note of the words that you recognize, trying to put it together. It looks as if this is a note of farewell from him, as if he was planning to leave. However, it is dated about 3 days before he left. And it was never finished.
Gwyneth tries to think back. Will Anders just let us take it with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think as they're walking back to the castle, Gwyneth will sort of summarize it for Randolph. And he'll say, 3 days before Elysium. What happened 3 days before Elysium?
I don't know. A bunch of stuff's happened in the past month which people might get upset about. I don't know. Might have been shown disrespect or showed disrespect at some kind. Maybe he was upset about the frenzying episode. Maybe he was trying to seek out this Eloise beforehand. That it was unfinished is in itself strange. That it was unsent is not. Strikes me as the kind of person to have this letter in his desk for a decade before sending it.
I agree. I think perhaps it was in case the mood struck him. Perhaps he considered it at one time and then changed his mind. No.
Oliver is not a person to change his loyalties or his oaths lightly. It's part of his soul. But it is curious. Oh, I realized we left things relatively amicably. Do you want me to go back in through the window and stake Percy before he does something stupid, or do you prefer to wait until he does?
Can you have him watched? You have the manor watched.
I can do
I
that.
think you're right. I think he will attempt something on his honor sooner rather than later if we don't have answers in a few days.
Aye. Well, more mysteries upon more mysteries, but, well, it's just adding on to a pile we already had, isn't it?
Yes, information is the thing I want the most these days, which is another reason I didn't have you kill the caitiff right off. I want to know more.
I'll admit, I'm not surprised that you didn't. You're not that kind of person. But, I'm not questioning your judgment. In your place, I'd probably do the same. But the sire's definitely got to go.
Yes, agree. Whoever they are, I hope they haven't done damage across the villages. Doesn't bode well.
You know the weirdest thing? The paradox of, well, I guess you'd call it politics. If it had been someone we knew, I would have recommended killing the child or exiling the person. As it is, since it's a stranger, don't know anything about him, just kill him. Keep the one who seems like she's done nothing wrong. What is it about familiarity that makes one better prey?
The mysteries of politics and cooperation, I suppose. I do wonder, knowing at least one of whom stalks our woods, do you think this is something the Bruja might do to stir up trouble? They did
Wouldn't
come to Elysium just recently.
it wouldn't be a bad way to destabilize things, to introduce a breach of the silence of the blood, to introduce and ferment chaos within the court. Caitiff are often killed and slain, and it's often what any of the humanitarian types would decry and make a lot of noise about and not really do anything. But if one does seek to begin rebellion, always begins at home.
You may be hunting down our not quite friend before this is over.
The world is a large place. and there's always prey to hunt. But aye, he'll be a problem one way or another. But let's get our facts straight before we get on the killing field.
More information. Indeed. We'll go back to the castle.
Right then. At which point, the night comes to an end. As the sun begins to rise, and all of you find your holes away from the sun. We watch as the sun rises above the city, shining upon the white, snowy pathways, before we watch the sun fall again across the other side. And night returns, and you all awaken, preparing for the next night.
Roll for nightmares.
Roll for nightmares.
Send a point of blood.
And spend a point of blood.
My favorite roll. Yep. Yep.
I want to tell you, Maud, you should really get in on this killing the things that you feed thing, because it's really good for your digestion.
That's true.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's not like I've not done it before.
That's true. Though that was very, very bad for you, mentally speaking, so good point.
Alright, success. You do not have nightmares.
Yippee!
Or rather, you successfully don't
angry.
get destroyed by your nightmares. Still angry.
Yeah, they probably still happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. And with that, would you guys like to begin with individual scenes or with a council scene?
I wouldn't mind, because I've got some things that Randolph would like to do, but if it's a council scene, we can talk about, like, better pin down what the priorities are. Randolph's gonna search for stuff.
I think individual scenes might have to happen where Snorri has no place at the council scene.
We'll invite Snorri to the council, because he was part of the
assume
old
he's
council
invited.
anyway, but yes.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't invited. It's literally the reason he did what he did last was to gain information. And without that information, what's the point for him showing up, right?
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
You want to start off, Snorri?
Yeah.
Alright then. In that case, we will do
Go for it.
individual scenes to start off with. Let's start off with Snorri. How would you like to handle your information grabbing?
What specifically, because like Thomas read it off, but what specifically, what information can he gain from the use of the death site?
You can see into the Shadowlands. You can see the remnants of the spirits that wander around, that exist upon the layer that is the realm of the dead. So you can see generally the spirits that are around, and you can kind of communicate with them.
Basically, he would be looking for the council itself had been trying to get information out of the corpse when it was staked before it woke up as a white.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's looking to see if he can gain any of that information, like what started all of it, what drove this man, this creature to that end.
Okay then. I think in that case, let's do a roll. Let's do perception awareness. So that'll be 7 dice. It would be difficulty 7, but you can knock it down by 2 because of your aspects, so it becomes difficulty 5. As I imagine you just be kind of looking around the area where the spirit died, or where the vampire is killed, to try and see if you can find the spirit.
Right. He'll spend a willpower.
Alright. Willpower point spent. Alright. 6 successes total. We see Snorri kind of walking around these empty hallways. It just kind of looks like he's just kind of aimlessly wandering around, looking about, before we kind of flow forward into the greenish eye, and then pull out to see what he can see through it. As we see this crumbling old fortress that he is within, that has got cracks everywhere. We see what looks to be the figures of guards walking up and down the hill, up and down the halls. One of them has what looks to be a giant spear straight through its chest. Yet it continues to walk on duty as if it is not even aware that it is dead. We see others where we see this maid figure that's kind of clawing along the ground, as we see her guts have spilled outwards and kind of leave this phantom trail of blood that begins to disappear. As we watch Snorri step over her, looking around, before he eventually turns around into a room where he sees the familiar figure standing facing a wall in the darkness. How would you like to approach this, Snorri?
Not one for a lot of tact. Snorri would step into the room. You. I'm looking for you. I need answers.
You see the figure turn around to face you. You can see its body is broken, destroyed, where bits of its flesh have been torn away. The Dark Lord looks at you. You watch as it begins to speak, but its sound is almost faded, but you can just kind of make it out.
Where am I? This is not my home. This is not where I died.
Your torments to its end. However, I need to know what drove you to the dogs in the wood.
The old warrior.
Head tilts, eyes focused. Old warrior.
The boar, he says.
Where did you see this boar?
I was hunting when I came across a man. He said things I did not understand, and then, like a witch, transformed into a beast. ran me through, then I could. Then everything was too much. Too much noise, too much light. I could feel them. The beasts around me. My loyal hunting hounds. But it was too much.
Did you ever see the spore again?
No. I had not seen anything since. Just darkness and pain.
One that caused you this pain. You can learn from. Embrace it. And you will find your peace. And with
Hey,
that,
you watch as wisps of shadow begin to pull off his flesh until he becomes almost like black bones. He then looks to
as
you,
he
and there is no response.
as that happens, a dark smile appears upon Snorri's lips. He looks to the black skeleton. That's right. Go to the mother now and find your peace. Through the pain. And with that, he'll blink before it lands.
Alright.
And he'll immediately stalk ever slowly towards the council chamber,
Alright.
retying the bandage over his eye.
Very nice.
Would
Go ahead.
between his medium and oracular ability, would he have gained anything else out of that? Out of the puzzle pieces laid?
I think that's it for now, but I think he just needs time to focus, and eventually
Fine.
the visions will come to him. AKA,
Okay.
let me think on it for a bit.
Yeah.
Alright. With that, what other scenes do people want to get done before the council?
I will let others say their thing before I say mine.
Alright.
I think with Gwyneth, there's just a really brief scene, like, of maybe like a family breakfast when they wake up, and him like seeing Morgan off to school, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll just clasp his arm, one last time. Just say, remember what I said.
Of course, sire. I will not forget my loyalty to the blood. Actually, he'd say to the blood
I
that
hope you
made me.
gain. There you go. I hope that you gain everything that you desire.
Thank you.
And he's off to school.
A
And
red
that's it.
tear falls down the face.
Yeah, totally.
Alright then. Is there anything Maud is doing? You do have Bride
Yeah.
with you, so I don't know if you plan to do something with
Yeah.
her before the council meeting.
I think she'd answer any questions that Bride would have, but Maud wouldn't really instigate much of the teaching part of that.
Okay.
I think for the most part, yeah, she'd answer questions, and Yeah, so Bride's definitely still there in the morning, which is good.
Yeah.
Or in the night. I mean.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes. Her main questions are mostly about what she is and
Yeah.
what exactly is going on. I don't know if Mort has any specific views on the Canite condition and, what it means to be one of them and what it's like. Is there any
Yeah.
specific bits of wisdom that or perspective that Maud would share?
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing that Maud would share is that it's certainly different than being Klein, being human, obviously. I don't think she views it super negatively. I think she'd be pretty objective. At the very least, she would give her some tips as well, mainly Hudden wise, and emphasizing particularly the silence, and that keeping that is important.
Mm-hmm. She kind of nods and takes that in. Other than that, it's very general questions.
Yeah.
It's like, what happens when we sleep? And you're like, I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I think I just wake up.
Yeah. Just go to sleep. It just happens.
Yeah.
You just sleep during the day.
Happens.
Don't question it too much.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't question it too much. I think we should just go to the meeting.
Yeah. It's very much
Wait, did
those.
you get her a little baby coffin, or does she just sleep under the bed in your room?
I don't sleep in a coffin, so there's no baby coffin. I think, honestly, I think Maud is probably just sleeping on the bed on the floor, and she'd probably give Bride the bed.
Yeah.
I think Maud probably sleeps more comfortably on the floor somehow. I think it's
That's
just
fair
kind of
enough.
like a bit unnerving.
No.
It's that military lifestyle.
Yep. Sleep wherever you need to.
Exactly.
Alright then. I think with that, if there's anything else, we can go to Randolph.
Indeed. Randolph would like to go to the village that Bride mentioned to look to see if any other breaches of the silence have occurred, if anything weird's going on, and see if he can pick up a trail and, at the very least, corroborate Bride's story. Because if she's not telling the truth, something very weird is going on.
Yep. Alright then. It is an intelligence. Actually, not intelligence. This is going to be
I'm no
a
dummy.
wits and let's say survival. Wits and survival.
Alrighty. Wits and survival. 2 successes.
2 successes. So you make your way to the village that you described, and you kind of look around, keeping an eye on things. You do hear some of the locals talking about the Witch of the Woods, which is mostly around like the farmers of the town. Most of the people are just kind of like, what are they talking about? Witches and stuff? It's all ridiculous. After all,
It
witches
hasn't
don't
happened
exist.
since, so...
Yeah. I mean, the Bible tells us that witches don't exist, so it's fine. Or the local priest tells us that witches don't exist, so it's fine. It's fine.
Good old organized religion.
Certainly makes things easier. Nonetheless, there are still a few people that are talking about the Witch of the Woods. But you notice it kind of gets a little out of whack. It's like, oh, I saw the Witch of the Woods. She had bird's feet and feathers growing out of her skin.
This
I
guy's
heard
talking out of his ass.
she's got a large pointed nose. And she can smell your fear. That kind of stuff.
I think Randolph will... Because the Witch of the Woods, he's pretty sure he's dealt with the situation as best he can. But in this, he's looking for something a bit more specific. In the last week or so, if like anyone's gone missing or left in the outskirts of the village, particularly around then, he will ask around if necessary, though he prefers to prowl.
I think to get specific information like that, you're probably gonna have to ask. So we're
In that
probably
case,
looking at
I think, yeah, he will.
like-
He looks he doesn't seem human, but he can probably just look like a creepy hunter.
in that case, we're probably looking at either probably like in manipulation and intimidation.
Indeed. Yes, he will use his pashmina to appear more genteel. All right, let's give it a go. It's gonna say soothe the beast. He's not soothing the beast. I would like to. If this were investigation, I'd have something of a chance. I would like to spend a willpower
Okay.
to succeed in this and not raise the ire of people.
Easy enough. Do you have any negative from your floors that might affect this? I'm trying to remember.
Not at the moment. Let me just double check real quick. Roll20 is lagging a bunch for me. I'll just check merits and flaws. I got. No, not in this case.
Okay. All good then.
Spending a willpower on this. Let's give it a go. 3 successes.
3 successes. As you're kind of asking around, people are like, I think there are some stories about a lady or something going missing.
Stories from where and whom?
Oh, from one of the people near the local inn. Actually, no, it's a tavern. It was a servant wench or something like that. I don't really remember. I mean, it's not
Nice.
uncommon. Sometimes people just leave town. It's a pretty boring place, to be honest. Wouldn't be surprised.
Aye. People disappear all the time. Thanks for your help. He's going to, toss him some... It's Kronar at this point, right?
I think they'd be using whatever the no. It'd be. That's a good question, actually. I think it'd be whatever the
Tosses him
Norwegian is.
two of local currency.
Probably like silver or something, like whatever the local currency is.
Yeah.
Probably silver.
2 pieces of silver and goes on his way.
He kind of looks at
It
you and goes,
doesn't seem like there's...
"Thank you." Kind of tucks it away and
It
quickly
doesn't
scurries
seem
off.
like there's any tales of monsters taking people, which is great. But he just needs to confirm things and look around.
Yeah.
So he will go to the tavern, and if he finds more things, that's good. If he can find where she was snatched from, that's even better.
I'll say as you're like walking around town and you begin to like make your way around to where the tavern is. I imagine taking like some of like the bits where you're not as seen. You'd hear a voice from behind you going, "You find anything yet?"
Unaccustomed to being snuck up on by anyone but the Nosferatu, he turns his head slowly, owl-like, to view who he is talking to.
As you turn around, you see Lippy, the Nosferatu.
Limpy. Not quite yet. Stories about a tavern girl going missing, but nothing solid. Nothing, out of the ordinary. Good in one respect. Unrewarding in others. What of
I suppose
yourself?
that's good enough. Bits and pieces. Mostly your general superstition. Tell you whatever it is, it's got Marana up in fucking arms.
Is it the Witch of the Woods stuff? Because I mentioned that.
Aye, the caitiff.
Hopefully, Maud will keep her in check. she won't be doing any more breaching of that. And hopefully, as these things do, people will forget about it and go into the next horrible scandal. Still, we'll keep an eye out, try and find where she was snatched from, look for a trail, look for witnesses, or more deaths and disappearances. Either way, we've got our person.
If it's anything on with you, I'm sure this is just gonna blow over. Happens all the time.
Oh no. Oh no. By you saying that, I think you've summoned it. He looks around as if something might, as if dark fate might leap upon him.
Limpy kind of looks
Let's
around
keep looking.
confused. Alright. Follows after you with his trademark limp.
Indeed. But yes, so looking for more rumors, looking for like the place where she was snatched, kind of like by on the outskirts in a village, like hanging out, washing. He can do a perimeter sweep and look for something.
You basically see like a washing line that's like connected where the tavern is and like to another building like between them. You see there's like some washing up at the moment. Which is odd because it's night.
I think. Yeah. That is odd, isn't it? Has it just been left there, or has it been put out?
It's hard to know. Without like going in and
Randolph
asking.
goes up and... yeah, fair enough. Randolph will say, I don't suppose you're better equipped at asking around.
He looks at you. And then like almost like pushes his face a little forward. And you see he's like got like these boils on his face and is like really fucked up. He looks like he's like a leper. What do you think?
Hey, I've known Nosferatu who take great pride in their disguises. I'll give it a go.
Aye.
Keep an eye out if anything's keeping an eye on this place. That's what I
They're
do.
also the smug ones. He kind of pulls up his...
Very smug. But yes, I think Randolph would like to talk to the innkeeper.
Alright. Step into the inn and you can see like an innkeeper that's currently cleaning up as he looks over and goes, "Sorry, sir, we're just closing up."
I won't be long. I want to ask a couple of questions.
Oh. Alright. Puts the cup down.
A week or so ago, heard tell someone went missing. That true?
I think so. I was working here for about a month or so. I think she was on
You got her name?
Birdie or something. Don't really remember.
Right. Alright. Anyone know what happened? She just left?
Assume she just got sick of the pay. Most do. Not really much going on in this fucking town.
I grew up in a place like this. Aye. Thank you. And I think he will, like, again, sort of absent-mindedly toss a piece of silver onto the counter before wandering out.
Kind of looks at you and picks up and goes, "You're, more wealthy than I expected for a man who looks like a hunter."
When you live frugally, one learns to keep the contents of their purse full. Never know when the next famine hits.
He then looks down at the silver coin, and then looks back up, and I imagine you're gone by that point.
Yeah. But yes, if there's nothing else to do, we can go to the council scene. However, he would like to look for tracks, because he's a big dick about it.
I will say, it's probably been long enough there aren't really any tracks left.
Fair enough.
I think you just kind of look around.
To talk to animals, but yeah, if there's
I think you just look around and you
then...
see there's like a lot of like muddy prints where like that area is, and they're all like mixed up, so it's hard to know which is which.
Yeah, it's been a week. He'll say to Limpy, well, my first worry was that there'd be too much going on and everyone would be up in arms. Seems the opposite's the case. This person disappeared, was embraced, and then awoke, having enough control of themselves to leave and depart. That's unusual circumstances, particularly for an embrace of passion or circumstance.
Doesn't seem like to be any issue for us, though. Whoever did it's probably long fucking gone. If they're smart.
Mm. Smart people don't embrace randomly, unless it's part of a plot or a scheme. And if that's the case, they'd remain.
I don't know if that's true. I've known enough of my clanmates to know that's definitely not the case.
Eh,
Unlucky
give me
bastards, a
your
lot of
read.
them.
Aye. Give me your read on it, and Sister Morana's if you can. The Caitiff, you think she's telling the truth?
I mean, she doesn't exactly have a reason to lie. She also really hasn't seen shit. It's possible that there's no chances she'll even remember what really happened. You know, for Sire's ability to fuck with her memories.
That's a possibility.
I think
Well,
there's just too much to tell. If the Sire's going around just embracing people for the hell of it, they'll probably do it again. And then a pattern emerges. Otherwise,
I'll patch him then.
it's just a one-off, probably. Someone who either saw a pretty face and wanted to make it, or someone who saw a pretty face and wanted to destroy it. It happens.
Yeah. Randolph doesn't get that. He's like, randomness, I get, but beauty? Ugh.
No, he's definitely see it from
I
a certain
think-
perspective of his own.
Yes, from
the
a
perspective of his clan.
Nosferatu's perspective, absolutely. Randolph will set the beasts and the birds of the land to do a wide net search if he can and return back to Peel. No news is good news.
Yeah. Alright then. I think with that, we see you returning back to Peel. As we arrive at a meeting. Maud, would you bring Bride into it, or would you kind of send her off somewhere else and lock her in a room? You could also have someone else watch her if you'd like.
Yeah, our regular council meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, so Morana will be there. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I think, yeah. I think for the time being, she gets someone else to watch over her. In fact, actually,
Right.
let me just double
Give her
check.
some needle point. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll say Iris is looking after her.
Yeah,
kinda
Iris
left her at
can
the
look
church.
after her, sure. Yeah.
Iris
think-
has basically said that she's got other business she must attend to. And won't be able to make it to
Yeah.
the meeting, but she can look after her.
Yeah, well, I think Maud would feel pretty confident letting Iris look after her.
Alright then. We'll arrive at the meeting. Both Sister Marana and Amir are here.
Any new developments since our last meeting?
Not too much on my end. I went to the village that Bride mentioned, asked around. A surprising lack of activity. Whatever happened, people believe she just left town. And there were no other disappearances, no more missing things. Rumors of the witch in the woods, which will hopefully die down, and if not, we'll have to kill it.
I do wonder if there has been Canite stalking the woods around the village doing such things.
Well, it was Bride.
Have you asked Ragnar if he's seen any Canites stalking the woods besides yourself? And of
where
course, the Dog Lord.
we mostly hunt together, though I haven't asked about a catalogue. I should, I think, if there's prey that's escaped him.
As Randolph and Gwyneth are having that conversation, Snorri unties the bandage from over his wicked eye. Well, you see,
Or like your eye.
our deceased friends tell a different story. It's an old warrior able to turn into a boar.
Oh yeah, the dog guy's sire.
Yes, I did see that in my original vision.
He was but a villager. The dogs were his hunting dogs. He was not given any training nor understanding as you would require. After his death, all he felt was pain. There's a gentle smile to his lips when he says that.
Yes, I believe when we first became aware of the problem, Randolph had commented that gangrel do not always take one another under their wing and have a gentle welcome to this world of darkness we live in.
Not at the point though. We already know of one unsanctioned embracer that's acted before. Wouldn't be too difficult to assume that it might be the same one.
ST, what would Father Collins's stance been on this type of embrace?
It is against the rules.
Okay.
As you know, he
Snorri-
sometimes breaks the rules for the sake of mercy.
Yeah, yeah. Snorri looks
If-
over towards Sister Rana and speaks, as if speaking to the whole room. Father Collins oftentimes chose mercy, so there's no telling how long this has been going on.
Do you believe Father Collins would have been the sort of ruler to allow this in secret?
Simply shrugs. It's possible. Rana, do you have any thoughts on that?
It is true that I have sometimes disapproved on the previous prince's mercy. But I personally do not remember a time in which a gangrel was found, sired by a master we did not know of on the Isle. There is only so... They can only hide in so many places before they are found.
I will say, if Bride remembers her last sunset correctly, does not sound like a gangrel siring from what she told us. It was peaceful, almost.
I wouldn't call
Covert.
that peaceful.
I've killed a lot of people without them knowing I was there.
And
But how many have you embraced?
And
Precisely.
however, the words old warrior also stick out.
You think that the
Forest
sire of the
warrior.
Dog Lord may know about the other goings on?
He gives a nod to Sister Marana. He might have more of a base than we do.
Well, then a decision must be
starts-
made. He is either an enemy of the Council or a potential ally. He cannot be both.
Who are we talking about?
The sire of the Dog Lord. The Boar Lord.
From what I saw in my vision, the Dog Lord seemed to think the being that made him the way he was some sort of god. If they still exist here, they are certainly an enemy of the Council.
Randolph
They've
nods,
broken the
content.
laws. Their carelessness has caused much damage to the surrounding villages and robbed many a farmer of their faithful hound. Caused this council a great deal of trouble. So if they are still out there, they must be taken care of. Ended.
The violation of the silence of the blood and the violation of the right of progeny. I don't see many situations where allowing them to exist don't make us look either weak or ignorant.
I see no benefit to allowing them to exist, and they've caused far too much suffering to be allowed to continue.
That said, once we've dealt with them, or even before then, we can find out what they know.
And if they will not answer us, I'll be glad to have another kind of conversation with them. And he rebandages the eye.
I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate further?
Let's just say I can impose my will upon them after there are no more, if it becomes necessary. Though it can be quite painful.
Randolph, who is nodding like, oh yeah, dominate, that makes sense, kind of tilts his head as Snorri references the other side of the veil and looks very intrigued. That could be useful. Makes things a lot simpler.
It's not foolproof. I would suggest you try to beat it out of them first, Sheriff.
Aye, was always plan A. It sounds like we have a decent direction of what to do. We can find the Dog Lord for his existing crimes, see if it's associated with that which took Bride, and go from there. It's a subtle thing. My embrace and the embrace of the Dog Lord was quite different to hers. But we'll look into it further.
Either way, you have more quarry outside the city, it would seem. Any activity at Sir Oliver's Manor from Percy or Stuart Anders?
Has Rose told me anything? No, nothing like that. It seems
Nothing
that
yet.
business is... Yes, nothing yet. It seems that business is continuing as normal for now.
Gwyneth will share Oliver's letter with the council. Their feedback.
I see that.
I'll pass it over.
Can I get a more detailed amount of information out of that, Mark?
Yes. Snorri, why don't you roll me intelligence plus enigmas?
I was actually saying because he can read French, but sure.
I mean, from that perspective, you get about the same amount of information. It's about him
Okay.
leaving, essentially.
What's the intelligence enigmas total?
Intelligence enigmas is 8.
Standard.
Yes, standard difficulty. Alright,
Nice.
4 successes. As you stare at the words on the paper, you watch them begin to turn and move and shift, as if you find yourself gaining a deeper understanding of what's been written here. You can feel the doubt, the suspicion, the anger, the feelings of loss, and also the feeling of regret and submission. You find your eyes are filled with a vision of a man walking across an ocean before arriving on the other side, kneeling down on one knee, as you see arising before him a tall figure, as if it were a statue to a god. A being that looks down upon him, reaches its hands forward and grasps him in shadow. You feel the presence of a demon. Its seeds sown into the very paper itself.
His eyes narrow as he stares at the paper or at the parchment. And then he extends it back towards the prince. The man who wrote this had a great deal of sorrow, loss, frustration. So much so that he intends to. It's a great sea of sorts, and bend the knee to a greater power. I believe, though I'm not entirely certain, that he does not know that that power is a demon. And it will likely encapsulate him and take him for its own uses.
A demon across the sea.
That's true. It would explain why I couldn't sense the origin of the shadow in my vision. Something was blocking me.
Hmm.
These
Why a
creatures.
demon across the sea when we have one right here? This is a demon war that we should just stand back and let them do their thing. No, it doesn't work that way. Strange.
These creatures keep on rearing their heads, yet I have not seen one, though I feel their fell presence. I do not know how to kill them. Not yet. And I feel it will be necessary given time.
He may not be the actual ocean. Could be the very plains that he must cross to kneel before this demon. The vision is unclear.
Would that ocean be? Would it be the plains? Would it be time?
I would need more time to consider and look at my books.
I don't like feeling the hands of other powers upon the actions of those I am close to. Peel should stand sovereign, not be beholden to these puppet strings.
You want to save your friend or stop him from delivering precious information to this demon. You will need to act quickly.
What do you need to learn more? And in your professional opinion, where do we start?
Shrugs. You said he was on the way to Douglas. And it is unlikely, unless the Prince of Douglas that you have spoken of is the demon itself, that he has anything to do with it.
It's odd. I didn't think to look at the city of Douglas for demons when we were there. If he's gone there at the behest of this influence, perhaps there is something afoot.
Didn't you and Sister Iris talk about something weird and strange in like the church or something?
Yes, the summoning ritual. It was old, and I don't think anyone had accessed it before we found it that day. But it is there in the library in the city.
Keep in mind
Accessible.
my vision. Sorry, Mott, go ahead.
I was going to say it's pretty accessible, even if it's old. I reckon it's not that hard for someone to have read it and perhaps maintain the information without taking it.
A number of Canaanites, I suppose, have access to that library. Who was the priest who showed it to us? Was he a council member of
He was
Douglas?
the seneschal.
He was the
It
seneschal.
was the seneschal. Okay, okay.
He was the one who had the
Considerable.
Because I
keys
think
to.
he had a key that let us in, so it's not like
Yeah.
an open library.
Mhm.
But
Father Sebastian O'Malley, a
That's
Bruja.
Oh, it's definitely.
He's a Bruja.
Keep in mind the news that I had Ingrid deliver to you. It is possible that this whole catastrophe and calamity before us is based on this demon's influence.
That's what I've been imagining.
likely. I imagine it may still be some time before we hear back from Prince Atticus. Perhaps we should begin making our way to Douglas in the meantime.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to send a division. After all, if it's as suggested and this was no political action, it means that Prince Douglases themselves being embroiled in this Prince Douglas, Prince Atticus is themselves being embroiled in this scheme. Whether or not he'll believe our words is another thing entirely.
Well, if his keeper is also under the influence of this demon, I imagine he should like to know.
We should investigate, and while we're heading up to Douglas, search a little bit for either the boar gangrel, the mysterious sire of Bride, or anything else strange within this island, for there are quite a few things. We might be able to kill a number of birds in a single stone. And worst comes to worst, never hurts to make a visit.
At which point,
Yes.
Sisterana would interrupt and would say, "And what of the caitiff? What is the
And what of
plans for
her?
her? I simply wish to inquire how things are being handled regarding her."
Maud, were you able to get a sample of blood for Oswald to analyze?
Out of character, I just assume.
You either did or you didn't. It's up to you to decide.
Oh, it's a good yep. I guess she would.
uh, so I assume you like hold up a
I
vial.
believe that's the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. Just hold up a vial.
Well, then I shall call Oswald before we set off and have him analyze it for any more clues.
I'll say this much. I reserve my judgment on the caitiff until we find the sire or reveal a truth about her claims, her story. I do imagine that he is telling the truth, but, well, you can never quite tell. We'll find out what the blood has to say. We'll find the sire, find out the reason for the siring, and go from there. As is, she's done damage to the silence of the blood, entirely out of ignorance, and I'm hoping Maud's tutelage will ensure no further things happen there.
Well, I've mentioned that in particular. I want to be sure that there's no further breaking of that.
Snuff out the flame of one that shows promise. Waste.
Randolph, when you went to the village to do your investigating, did there seem to be undue concern about these rumors of a witch? Or were they dying down?
It was far from the epicenter, I should say. There were wives' tales and people boasting about having seen a witch, but they were tavern tales. Nothing like the quieter rumors that were heard around the farms near Peel. Those ones are the ones I'm worried about.
Well, let us hope they will die out while we continue our hunt. There is no more council business. I think I will call the Tremere.
I have recommendations, but they'll require Sister Iris to minister to the panicked flock.
Good idea.
We shall wait for Sister Iris then.
I assume at this point you would
Meanwhile-
call. Okay.
Okay.
I was just say you
I'm
would
just
summon
gonna have-
Oswald if there's nothing else. Go ahead.
Snorri at this point will probably exit himself to go work on trying to put some puzzle pieces together.
All right.
Yeah, Gwyneth figures everyone can do whatever while he summons Oswald. Maybe the inner council will stay, but Marana's
Alright.
got 5 million
Now
things to
Maud
do.
is out of there.
All right.
I'm gonna stay because I like knowing things.
Maud is gone.
If I don't know things, it means people are trying to stab me.
Snoring
Yeah, I
is
think Maud would just
gone.
Maud
kind of.
goes back to her room, and there's like 5 Nos like crouching over
Yeah.
Brian. Like,
Yep, I think Maud would just kind of go back to where Bride is, make sure she keeps an eye on her.
Alright. Alright, Oswald comes into the room and goes, "You called me, my prince."
I did. I have another sample for you to have a look at. We've
Of course.
recently found someone creating their own progeny without permission, and the caitiff in question does not know anything of her origin. But perhaps you might be able to shed some light on the situation.
Of
Give him the
course, my
vial.
prince. I live to serve. He takes the vial, opens it up, gives it a sniff before tasting a drop of it. He focuses for a moment. There is a neutral expression on his face. It becomes a smile, and then it fades into a frown. That is not good.
What is not good?
I do not think you are going to like the answer I'm going to give.
I need the answer.
Is she infinitely more powerful than she appears and is in fact an infiltrator?
No, she was not lying about her age. She could have
Damn.
only been embraced less than a week ago. However, the blood is that of the clan of the Zamitsi. At which point, we're going to end the session there.
Motherfucker!
Oh, delightful.
I think with that, we're going to do some outros. And we're going to start off with Mars. Give us your outro.
Goodbye. I am Mars. I played Maud the Valkyrie, the Aramanes.
Very nice. Next up, Thomas.
Your
Give us your outro.
anti-mod.
Hello, my name is Thomas, and I have been Randolph, the gangrel, who hasn't been vindicated in the ways that he likes, but is vindicated in others.
Very nice. Next up, Blue. Give us your outro.
Hey everybody, I have been Blue, playing Gwyneth, your very emotional dad, Prince of Peel, tonight. Finding out that there's just relatives everywhere now. They're just everywhere.
Fun, fun, fun. And last, but certainly not least, Drew. Give us your outro.
Hi, I'm Drew, former player of Sir Oliver, now the player of Snorri, Freyson, the creepy-eyed Cappadocian for the moment. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Thank you for watching, and thanks for playing, everybody. I always enjoy it.
Wonderful.
Love that witch
Uh,
eye.
Yeah, which,
Which eye are you
Uh,
talking about?
yeah.
Hey.
And I have been Mark, aka the CatsMeow, your storyteller for tonight's evening. I hope you've enjoyed watching our 16th episode of Isle of the Damned. And I hope you tune in for more as we do this every week. I would like to say, please check out, if you're watching on the Twitch, please remember to follow. If you're watching on the YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this at all, just check out our stuff. There's some links in the description. There's a link to one of the Discords we use. You can join that to join in some of the other and listen to some of the other projects we're a part of. And yeah, I hope you've had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you next week as we dive into the mystery between this
New Zemitzi Caitiff. Ooh. So remember,
Dun dun dun.
when you're traveling at night, make sure you always keep an eye at your back every once in a while. For you never know when something dark and monstrous might be creeping just close enough behind, lest they might reach around to embrace you close to their heart. Goodbye.